Good afternoon, everybody. So I'll start off the class the way I always start off a class, with a safety disclaimer. And these classes and what I say is not medical advice. Please consult with your healthcare professional before making changes to manage your health. This presentation does not represent Parkinson Canada's endorsement of products or treatment related to Parkinson's disease. This presentation is meant to provide general information. If you have specific questions about managing Parkinson's disease for yourself or others, contact info@parkinson.ca, or you can always call 1-800-565-3000. Oh, Blair Sigerson's in the house. Hello, Blair. Great to see you. Jim and Wanda. Awesome. Always great to see Jim and Wanda. So yes, this is your at-home workout class number 30. My goodness, we're making some progress here. My name is Lance Letain. I'm the events coordinator for Parkinson Canada here in Manitoba. Happy belated Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And to those of you that are new to these classes, I'd really like to welcome you and thank you for participating in these classes. For those of you that have been around for a while, I really want to thank you for your patronage, for believing in yourself and in trying to do what you can to manage your symptoms as best that you can. Just a few quick things about benefits of exercise and living with Parkinson's disease. I don't know, I've mentioned this before, but there's a protein called BDNF. It's almost like a growth factor. It's a miracle growth for the brain. When you are exercising, there's some studies, remind you, they're correlation studies, that say that post-exercise, you are definitely more receptive to learning. So yes, maybe after these classes, if you do the full class, wouldn't be a bad idea to read a book or to play a game, something where you're going to be really engaging with your brain, or doing a Sudoku. There's some studies that show that there's some correlation studies that show that there is a benefit with exercise. Maintaining your muscle mass. As we get older, it gets tougher. It gets tougher to maintain our muscle mass. So through our strength training that we do, we're at least maintaining what we have. We might not be getting larger muscles, but we are going to have maintaining what we do have there. And the more muscles that we have, of course, the more dopamine that could be made available to transport the signals that we're looking for. If you're dealing with any sort of pain, there's flexibility, and stretching really seems to make a difference in being able to manage your pain. You're going to have a greater range of motion, say in your shoulders or anywhere else. But yeah, there seems to be a nice relationship there with being able to manage your pain a little bit better if you stay at you work at your stretching. One thing to keep in mind when we are doing stretching, like I know in our classes here, I don't hold the stretches as long as I'd like to normally, but it's a time constraint. But when you are stretching, if you can hold each stretch for about 30 seconds, that's ideal. 30 seconds or longer. As we get older, we know our things get tighter, our muscles get tighter. It takes longer for our muscles to be able to relax and to be able to get the full stretch in there. So if you can, on your own, when you are stretching, try and time yourself so that you're at least holding for a minimum each stretch for 30 seconds. Balance training. Well, I mention this all the time. Our brain is processing the whole time when we are balancing. So if you're off balance a little bit and we're doing it in a controlled setting, your brain's processing all this information so that when your muscles need to make those little micro adjustments in order for you to keep your balance, you don't even have to think about it. It's just your muscles automatically do it. So the more we work at that, the better it's going to be. Bradykinesia, I've mentioned this before. The more muscles that we have, the more dopamine that we're going to have, and so your movements will be less slow because you're going to have more dopamine there. So the signals being sent, there's just more. You have more dopamine sending the signal to the brain, and it's going to allow you to move as fast as you want to move. A few quick things about safety here. If you haven't taken your medication, or your on times and your off times, if this is an off time, well then maybe this isn't the best time to be exercising. Perhaps you want to be doing it when you're feeling a little bit more secure, more confident. Again, I mentioned this at the beginning of the class here, talking with your healthcare management team. So if you're especially if you're just starting off with exercise, you're going to want to talk with your doctor. You're going to want to talk with your physiotherapist, just to make sure that you're ready, and that some of the exercises that we're doing are going to be beneficial for you. They're not going to be harming you in any way. I also like to tell somebody that I'm going to be exercising in case something happens. That's where having an emergency action plan and practicing it, so you know what you have to do in case there is an incident that you have to deal with. If it's a fall, or you're having some pain in your chest with your heart, well, at least you've prepared and you know what you have to do, and maybe others around you are also on the same page, so they are able to work with you to meet your needs. I like having a buddy around too. If you can exercise with a buddy, all the better. It's just that much more fun. Some shout outs here before we get into the class. Betty and Rick, Joan and Ken, Dawn and Jean, Karen and Robin, Impact Parkinson Center, Doug, Nathan, Pete, Audrey, my neighbor, Robert or Robert, Fran, Manon, Irene, Valerie, Ruth, Jerry, Cheryl, Jackie, Jim and Wanda. Hi, Betty. Jackie, Jim and Wanda, Lorinda, Hamina, Susanna, Louise, Blair. I already said hi to Blair, Gary, Dawn, and Krista. Hi, Ruth. Great to see you. Okay, so our class is going to be somewhat similar to the program we had on Friday. I've been busy today, so we're moving out of our Parkinson Canada office here in Winnipeg, so we have to be out by the end of the month. So my colleague Donna and I have been packing all day, so I didn't have as much time to prepare for this class as I wanted. So I'm doing a combination of exercises that we did on Friday and exercises that we did a few weeks ago. So I hope you don't mind. Let's get exercising. All right, so if you're going to be standing up, just make sure that there's no tripping hazards around you. So if there's a carpet or a rug with its rolled up, it could be a tripping hazard. Just try and move that out of the way if you can, or you may have to move altogether. For those of you that are sitting down, let's sit up nice and straight. Let's pull our shoulders back. Everybody else who's standing up, you can have your feet a little bit wider than shoulders. And we're going to start off with just closing our eyes, focusing on the here, focusing on the now. Eyes closed, getting ready for the class. Opening our eyes, big breath in, and blow it out through your mouth. This next breath is going to be bigger. Big breath in through your nose. And out. And this last one is going to be the biggest breath of the day. Big breath in. Hold it. And blow it out. All right, it's already getting a little bit toasty in here. Okay, hi, Lorinda. Okay, so from here, we know we're going to do our slap, clap, snap. Actually, I coach soccer. I coach developmental soccer for my twins U12 soccer team. And I have them doing the slap, clap, snap, and they seem to really like it. So let's get going. So we're going to smack our thighs 5 times, clap our hands 5 times, snap our fingers 5 times. So 5 down to 1 and then back to 5. All right, gang, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Yeah, there's something about just doing that, just kind of zeroes you in on what we're going to be doing here. And it's kind of fun too. Okay, so we're going to start off with just some arm circles here. So arm circles, small arm circles going forward. You're going to want to have your hands at about shoulder height. But if it hurts you to have your hands up that high, you can always lower your hands. By no means do you have to have your hands up high. It's just nice to have them up that high. Going forward, small circles. Let's go back, small circles now. I already noticed the difference in my breathing rate. Okay, now we're going to go bigger circles. Again, the purpose of the warm-up here is preparing our body and our mind for exercise. And bigger. Nice big circles if you can. And forward, big circles. Yeah, so we're preparing our body and our mind for exercise. And if something feels off, let's go smaller. If something feels off, by all means, monitor yourself. And you don't have to do this exercise class right now because these classes are posted on our Parkinson Canada Manitoba Facebook group page and also on the Parkinson Canada YouTube channel. And stop. Okay, we're going to roll our shoulders back. Yeah, and while you're on if you're on the YouTube channel, the Parkinson Canada YouTube channel, say hi, subscribe, give us some feedback. Love to hear what you have to say. Let's go forward. And same with on Facebook. Let us know if you have any questions or if you just want to say hi. And stop. Now we're going to shrug our shoulders up and down. Up. And you can always send me messages or add me as a friend on Facebook. I try pretty hard to stay in touch with people. Up and down. One shoulder up and down. Other shoulder up and down. Up and down. Up and down. Okay, from here what we're going to do our stationary toe tap. So 1 foot at a time, we're going to tap your toe. I think I need to back up so you can see my toes a little bit. So I think I'm going to take these classes outside for a period of time. Just a little bit of change of scenery never hurts. Tap, 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 tap. Okay, tap our heel, 1 foot. Tap, 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 tap. Tap, 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 tap. Other foot, tapping our toes. Oh man, how I wish I could see you guys. It'd be nice to see a great big smile, see those sparkles in your eyes. And tapping our heel. Okay, from here we're going to swing our arms from one side to the next. One side to the next. Okay. Getting close to the end of our warm-up here. We're going to do one hand or one arm. Back and forward. Side to side. Other arm, here we go. Side to side. Side to side. Let's work on our posture, sitting up nice and straight. Let's get a smile on our face, even if we have to fake it. Fake it until it's there. Okay, both arms. Side to side. Side to side. Okay, now we're going to do some heel taps, warming up our lower body. So we're going to put our heel out and back. Out and back. So yes, for the warm-up, we're doing things a little bit slower than what we do in the cardio section here. Again, this is just getting us ready for the exercise ahead. And it's also giving you an indication of how you're feeling. Maybe your balance is off. Like say if you're doing this, you're standing up and you feel your balance is off, well then this would be a good opportunity to grab yourself a chair. And you're going to find out, if you've never done any exercises from the chair, you're going to find out pretty fast actually it's harder in a lot of ways to be doing it from a seated position. So 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, gang, so we're going to transition into our cardio section. So I would encourage you, if you need to have a sip of water or a Gatorade or whatever, now would be a great time to do it. Just make sure it's put away nice and out of the way so it's not going to be a tripping hazard for yourself. And if you need to grab a chair because you are feeling a little bit unbalanced, uncertain, now would be a great time to grab a chair. So I'm going to try and do a lot of these exercises. I'll demonstrate sitting down and do them standing up, or I'll demonstrate standing up and I'll do them sitting down. Do whatever is best for you. So if you just want to sit down the whole time, that's fine. Sit down the whole time. If you want to stand up the whole time, well, definitely try and stand up the whole time. Okay, so we're going to start off with a march. March, 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 march. March, 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 march. How's that pace? Not too fast? If it is too fast, it's not a competition. You can go a little bit slower. That's fine. Some of you might only be able to do one leg. By all means, that works for me too. Maybe you've had some knee surgery, or you've had a hip surgery, or one leg just isn't working as well as you want it to be working. Working out on one leg is better than not doing anything at all. Okay, let's add our arms. March, 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 march. March, 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 march. So you know the intensity level that we're looking for. It's a moderate to vigorous, hopefully a little bit closer to the vigorous side. And one way to adjust the intensity level is by going faster or having larger movements. So for now, let's go with larger movements. We're going to go with some high knees. Ready, gang? Here we go. Up and down. Up and down. Up and down. Up and down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, march it out. So we're going to try and do that again, high knees, except this time we're going to go a little bit faster. So I just wanted to get a feel, see how you're doing, if you're all right with that. Okay, so here we go. Up and up. Up and up. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. March it out. March, 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 march. March, 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 march. Okay. So another way, of course, to change up the intensity is by going faster. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to pick up the pace a little bit. And then eventually we're going to be adding in a few other movements, some wide marching and some higher knees, but we'll get there when we get there. March, 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 march. March, 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 march. Okay, we're going to go a little bit faster. Here we go. March, 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 march. March, 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 march. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowing it down. March, 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 march. March, 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 march. Okay, we're going to go for another little run here. We're going to pick up the pace. Here we go. March, 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 march. March, 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 march. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowing it down. All right. Got the old roller coaster. March, 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 march. So we're going to try bringing it wide and bringing it narrow. If you're sitting down, sit up nice and straight. If you're standing up, just make sure the area around you is free of any tripping hazards. So we're going to start doing alternating to start off with. We're going to go wide, wide, narrow, narrow. Here we go. Wide, wide, narrow, narrow. Wide, wide, narrow, 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 narrow. Wide, 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 wide. Wide, wide, narrow, narrow. Wide, wide, narrow, narrow. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Just slowing march. All right. Hello, Audrey. Great to see you. Thanks for coming. March, 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 and march. March, 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 and march. Okay. We're going to go for a little run again. So we're going to pick up the pace. And then we're going to slow it down. We're going to do some wide marching. It's a heck of a lot of marching today, isn't it? Okay. In 4, 3, we're going faster. 2, 1. Here we go. March, 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 and march. March, 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 march. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowing it down. All right. Were you guys able to keep up? Oh, right on if you are. That's awesome. March, 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 march. Okay, so we're going to do some wide, wide, narrow, narrows. In 4, 3, 2, and 1. Here we go. Wide, wide, narrow, narrow. Wide, 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 narrow, narrow. Narrow, narrow. Narrow, narrow. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. March it out. Okay. So no arms, just our legs. That's a lot of work, isn't it? From here, we're going to do some heel taps. So if you want to use your arms, you can use your arms. If you don't, that's okay. So now we're going to transition into some heel taps. Here we go. Heel out and back. Heel out and back. There we go. Using some different muscle groups here, you could probably feel. That feels good. Okay, because you keep on doing the same thing over and over again. You think of those Olympic marathoners, see the training they do, the repetition over and over and over, hours on end. Okay, so now we're going to pick up the pace. Here we go. Out and back, out and back, out and back, out and back. Okay, for those of you that want to add some upper body, we're going to do some upper body. Here we go. Out and back, out and back, out and back, out and back. Okay, that feels pretty good, especially after all that marching. Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. No arms, just our legs. So instead of us putting our feet out to the front, what I'm now going to ask you to do is that we're going to stick our foot off to the side. So it's going to look like this, almost like we're skating. Out and back, side and back, side and back, side and back. Okay, so we got this going on. Just think it's the dead of winter. I'm going to stand up, out and back, out and back, out and back, out and back. Remember skating up at the Forks if you're here in Manitoba. Side to side, side to side, and side to side. Okay, we're going to slow it down a little bit. Side to side and side to side. Now we're going to add some arms. We're going to swing our arms sideways. Here we go. Side to side and side to side. If you can bring your hands up to shoulder height, that's great. If you find it too confusing, too hard to coordinate the movement of the upper body with the lower body, you can either just do the upper body, or you can just do the lower body. Whatever is best for you is best for me. And for those of you that need a harder workout, you can bring your hands up higher like this. This is harder to do than keeping your hands lower. And this is even harder. I like to keep my hands down low. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. No arms, just our legs. So that's the side. Now we're going to start doing our heel taps in front again. Make sense? In 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now we're going forward and back, out and back, out and back, forward and back. There we go. Should we add our upper body? Why not? Forward and back, forward and back, forward and back, forward and back. Okay. Probably hear from me speaking into my earpieces here, which are also a microphone. I'm breathing heavier. I'm working out hard, and I feel good. Hopefully, you do too. Forward and back, forward and back, forward and back, forward and back. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Marching it out. March and march, march and march. Okay. We're doing good. We're feeling great. We have our nervous system is engaged, which is what we want. We have all these endorphins running through our body, feeling good about what we're doing. And chances are, you look marvelous. All right. March and march, march and march. You're going to get that glow, that nice glow that you get after exercising. March and march, march and march. And who said sweaty is not sexy? Sweaty is the new sexy. Come on. March and march, march and march. March and march, march and march. I just love it when I see people when they're done exercising. They have that glow to them. They're feeling good. You know they're feeling good about what they did. Chances are you will be too. March and march, march and march. Should we go back to some heel taps? Here we go. Out and back, out and back, out and back, out and back. Okay. So from here after this, we're going to do some side steps, a little bit of marching, then we'll be done. We'll have done our cardio warm-up and our full cardio. Then we're going to get into cardio cool down, our strength training, our balance training, and then some Parkinson specific exercises. March and march, march and march. Okay. Heel out and out. Heel out and out. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, no arms, just our legs. I'm going to sit down just to demonstrate everything can be done from a seated position that we're working on, except for our balance. That's the one thing that you do have to stand up at, working your balance, except for when we're just leaning forward. So instead of going forward and forward, we're going to go side to side in 4, 3, 2, and 1. Here we go. Side to side and side to side. Side to side and side to side. Okay. Speaking of the forks, a lot of people here in Winnipeg, in the dead of winter, the forks clear off the river, the Red River, and the Assiniboine River, so you can go skating. I think we actually had the world record at one point in time for length of skating that you could do on the river. So that's a really popular activity. But I went to the Forks yesterday. It was so nice to see some people out. So yes, things we're at phase 2 right now for getting back to normal. So restaurants were open, people were out and about, but still practicing social distancing. Let's add some arms. Nowhere near capacity, not even close. But I think I read on CBC today, I think July 2nd was the date they're looking at phase 3. There's going to be no more restrictions. So we worked hard. I know you worked hard. You've made sacrifices. Eventually we're going to get the things back to normal. One arm. There we go. And the other arm. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. March it out. Okay, now we're going to start our cardio cool down. So it's going to be a slower march. You guys just rocked 20 minutes there. That was awesome. That was a pretty good intensity too. So if you were able to keep up, kudos, congratulations. If you worked hard, even better. Some people can actually even work out harder. But for those of you that weren't able to keep up, but you were going as hard as you can, I admire that. I think that's fantastic, courageous, and shows me how committed you are to wanting to make those improvements. Doing everything you can to manage your symptoms of either Parkinson's disease or just getting old. Active aging, that's where it's at. March and march, march and march. Slow it down now even further. Here we go. March and march and march and march. Okay, so no legs, just our arms. Again, the purpose of the cardio cool down is very important. We cannot skip this. Is to slow down our heart rate, slow down our breathing rate, and to distribute all that blood that's built up in our legs. We've been doing a lot of marching, a lot of exercising. So all the blood's been going there, feeding the muscles that everything that they need in order to make the contractions. But now we got to distribute the blood throughout the rest of our body, to our fingertips, our toes, our brain. It's probably the most important thing. Okay, standing still. Now we're going to do heel tap and back, tap and back, out and back, out and back, out and back, out and back. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now we're going to swing our arms forward and back. Forward and back. When you bring your hands forward, let's make a fist and back. Fist and back. Fist and back. Fist and back. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now we're just going to tap it out. So we're just going to tap our heel, one foot, tap, 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 and tap. Okay, like I said, this is really important. As we get older, it takes our body, we just can't stop on a dime like you did when you were younger. We got to slow things down gradually. Gradually slow our heart rate down. Slow our breathing rate down. Tap, 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 and tap. Other foot. Tap, tap. Just tapping your heel. Okay, so we have just finished. Okay, so for those of you that need to have a sip of water, great time to have some water right now. For everybody else, so we're not going to need any resistance. We're not going to need any hand weights or cans of soup, cans of cocoa like I used last week, or TheraBands or resistance band. We're just going to be working with gravity today. So we will definitely need a chair. And that's where we're going to start off with. So if you're standing up and you don't have a chair, just grab a chair and sit down. We're going to do our Kegel exercises first, and then we're going to do some chair crunches. So we're going to be working with our abdominal core. And for some of you that have symptoms that are manifesting themselves like around your gut area, it's important that we're working these muscles frequently as well. So we want to try and stay nice and firm and taut. So the first thing that we could do is just sitting up nice and straight, holding our shoulders back. Okay, and now we're going to call them Kegel exercises. So it's that muscle that will kind of stop that flow of urine when you're urinating. Kind of be lifting up your abdominal floor. So some people, it helps to close their eyes so they can actually feel it. Okay, we're going to try right now. Let's engage. So it's that muscle that you use to stop the flow of pee. Call these Kegel exercises. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Let's get a big smile on our face and relax. Breathe it out. Okay, we're going to try that 2 more times. Here we go. Engage. Hold it, hold it, hold it. It's that same muscle that we use to stop our flow of pee. Not very sexy, but that's real. That's where we're at in our life right now. And relax. Oh, the joys of getting old, eh? Okay, so we're going to do it 1 more time. We're going to engage. Hold it, hold it, hold it. And relax. Okay. We're going to still from a seated position. We're going to do our chair crunches. Again, this is for abdominal core. So there's 3 ways that we could be doing this. You can have your hands out in front, your hands across your chest, which is the hardest. Hands out in front is the easiest. And having your hands on the lap is kind of somewhere in between. Try not to hook your feet underneath the legs of the chair. So that's kind of defeating the purpose, because then our legs are actually doing some of the work. We want to be working solely on our abdominal core. So you're going to move your butt towards the end of the chair. Keep your feet nice and wide. Let's think of our posture. Now, we're going to lean back until our shoulder blades touch the back of the chair. Then we're going to sit back up. We're going to be doing this slowly and controlled. And if you're going down, try and breathe out. So it's going to look like this. Going down. And up. Ready, gang? Here we go. Down. And up. Slow and controlled. The slower we can do it, the better it is. Down. And up. I just moved closer to the end of the seat, and it makes it a lot harder. Down. And up. Down. And up. 3 more. Here's 1. And up. Here's 2. And up. Last one, 3. And up. Woo! You can feel that one. So now what I'd like to do is still sit where you are. We're just going to stretch out our abs a little bit. So you can twist your core, twist your body one way. You can grab onto a chair if you need to. Just stretching our obliques here, sides of our abdominal area. Stretching one way. Oh, that feels good. Now we're going to stretch the other way. Yes, it does feel good. Okay, sitting up nice and straight. We're going to try our chair crunches again. This time I'm actually going to have my hands in my lap. I'm going to go for the in-between. Again, it gets harder. The further your butt is down the chair, the harder it is. Doesn't take much. You'll notice a difference. Okay, so we're doing 6. We're going down and up. That's 1. Down and up. 2. Here's 3. Halfway there and up. 4 and up. 2 more. 5 and up. Last one. We can do it. Down and up. Woo! That's some tough work. Okay, we're going to stretch out our upper body again, our obliques. Turning sideways in the chair, you'll probably feel a stretch along the side of your midsection here. And we're going to stretch the other way. That does feel good. All right, so from here, now this is the tough thing. We're going to do our sit to stands. But if you can only go up like about an inch, that's awesome. If that's all that you can do, I think that's great. If you can stand up all the way, that's good too. One thing we do need to do though is it's important that we have our feet wider than our shoulders here. So it's distributing our weight over a larger area, and it's going to help with our balance here. So sitting up nice and straight. If you have armrests and you want to use the armrests, you can use them. But if you don't have to use them, I would suggest that maybe you don't use them. Maybe you have to start using them halfway in between. We're going to try and sit to stand 6 times here. So again, watch me. I'm going to demonstrate the first one. I'm standing straight up. And then when I'm going down, I'm going to shoot my butt to the back. That's the secret. So you got to shoot your butt out. So it's not leaning over, it's shooting your butt out. Okay, here goes 6. Up and down. That's 1. Slow and controlled. Here's 2. And down. Here's 3. The slower we can do this, the better it is. Harder to do. And down, shooting the butt back. Here's 4. And down. 2 more. Come on, gang. 2 more. Up. And down. Last one. Up. And down. Okay, I'm sweating in here. So, yeah, the muscles that we're using right there, these are our quadriceps. Our quadriceps femoris is the largest muscles in our body, and are quite often the ones most associated with preventing falls. So if we can keep these muscles nice and strong, if we can use them a lot, that's what we're looking for. That's what we want. Okay, now we're going to try 4 sit to stands. Make it a little bit easier. And think of our posture. If you have to use the armrest, you can. We're going to try 4. Here we go. Up and down. That's 1. Here's 2. And down. This is 3. And down. Last one. 4. And down. Oh man, that's tough work. Okay, so from here what we're going to do, we're going to do a straight leg raise. So you're going to have one leg out in front. If you're sitting down, just like this, think of your posture. For those of you that are standing up, I would definitely suggest hanging onto a chair or having a hand on the wall for some stability. We're going to be raising a leg up, 2, 3, and down, 2, 3, 4 times. Up, and down. 2 more. Up and down. Last one. Up and down. Changing our legs. Point that toe. We're going up 4 times. Here's 1 and down. 2 and down. Here's 3 and down. Last one. 4 and down. Okay, for this last exercise, we're going to do a knee raise and extension. I'll demonstrate to show you what it looks like. So I'm raising my knee up, 2, 3, and then sticking my leg, 2, 3. Back, 2, 3, and down, 2, 3. So we're going to do that 4 times each leg. I'm going to stand and do these. Okay, thinking of your posture, shoulders are back. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, up. 3, 2, 1, out. 1, 2, 3, back. 3, 2, 1, down. That's 1. Here's 2. Up and out. Back and down. Halfway down this one leg. Up, out, back and down. Last one, this leg. Up, out, back and down. That's tough work. Okay, other leg. So be it for our strength training. So we're going up, out, back and down. Again, when we're doing the strength training, this is really good for helping slow down the progress of bradykinesia. Up, out, back and down. We're also working on our balance here. Last one. Up, out, back and down. All right. Well, we just finished our cardio warm-up, our cardio cool down, and our strength training. Now we're going to work on our balance. So this balance is going to be the same as what we did on Friday. So I'm going to ask you to have feet wider than your shoulders. You can stick one foot out in front, but your feet are still wide. If you have something to hang on to, by all means hang on to something like a chair or a wall to hang on to. Stick your hand up. We're going to lean forward and back. I'll give you a profile shot so you see what it looks like. Rocking forward. Now I'm rocking back. Forward and back. Forward and back again. Our brain is processing all of this. So it's nice and safe and controlled right now. So if there is a situation where maybe you are losing your balance a little bit, your brain is going to be able to recognize that you are off balance, and you're going to be able to make those micro adjustments. Just keep on standing up. And back. We're doing 1 and back. The last one. Forward and back. Okay, changing our legs. Feet are still wide. You're just sticking one leg out in front. Here we go. We're rocking forward and back. Forward and back. By all means, if you don't feel comfortable, if you don't feel confident doing any of these exercises, you don't have to do them. By all means, take it easy. Your safety comes first. Forward and back. Last one. Forward and back. Okay, from here we're going to shift our weight side to side. So you're going to stick one leg out, your toes on the ground, and we're just going to try and hold our balance here. I'm hanging onto a chair for some stability. Sticking your arm out really helps make a difference too. For those of you that need the extra challenge, you can let go of the chair. You can bring your foot up off the ground. Let's hold it there. Again, the more we work at this, the better it is for us. Now what we do to one side, we're going to do to the other. So feet are nice and wide, toes on the ground. You can stick your arm out for a little bit of balance, hanging onto a chair or a wall if you need to. For those of you that can let go, you can let go. I'm going to keep my foot on the ground. Hold it there. Think of your posture. Almost there, gang. Almost there. Okay, now we're going to raise our knee. Raising one knee up, balancing, hanging onto a chair. If you feel confident, you maybe have one finger on the chair, or two fingers on the chair, or no fingers on the chair. Again, you probably feel your body making those little tiny adjustments just to hold your balance. A lot of it happens in the knee. Okay, what we do to one side, we've got to do to the other. Raising our knee up, holding it there. You can hang onto a chair if you need to, or a wall. Not a competition. You can even close one eye, have one eye open. Close your other eye, the other one open. And down. Okay, to finish it off, we're going to walk the line. We're going to do a little Johnny Cash here for Roseanne. One foot in front of the other. So you're going to imagine that you have an imaginary line in front of you. And you can have a hand on a chair. You can have a hand on the wall. If you're in a hallway, this will work. Stick your arm out to the side. We're going to put one foot in front of the other. It's not a race. Nice and slow. This is harder than it looks. And we're going forward. Now we're going to go back. Lorinda Kraus is in the house. Hi, Lorinda. Going back. Okay, how was that for you? Not too bad? Okay, we're going to try it one more time. This time I'm going to ask you to freeze. So you're going to hold your spot. If you need to keep on moving, let's keep on moving. Here we're going forward and freeze. Forward and freeze. Forward all the way. Okay, now we're going to go back. I'm not going to get you to freeze. I'm going back. We're just going to walk back all the way. Yeah, it's amazing. This is a lot tougher than it looks. All right, gang. So now we've just finished our balance training. We finished our strength training. And now we're going to get into some flexibility or stretching. So you can do this from a seated position or a standing position. I'm going to do them sitting down. I like to do these sitting down. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stretch out our chest, our pectoral region of our body here. So with that, we're just going to bring our hands nice and wide. You can have your hands shoulder height if you can do that. If it hurts too much for you to have your hands that high, you can drop one arm. Still get a stretch in there. Hold that stretch. Okay, now we're going to go to a bear hug. Again, when I was talking at the beginning of the class, ideally you want to be able to hold the stretch for at least 30 seconds. But because of the time constraints that we have here with the live broadcast, we've got to try and keep things within, an hour. So you can do some of these stretches on your own for over 30 seconds. We're going to go nice and wide again, stretching out our chest. Oh, that feels so good though. Okay, now we're going to stretch out triceps. So I'm going to bring one arm across my body, other arm swoops up underneath, grabs the elbow, and then you're just going to pull the elbow in. So that's going to stretch the back side, the top of your arm. Pulling it back, you should feel the stretch right back here. Feels good. Our triceps, the muscles that we use for extending. So it's like these kind of movements. Those movements, that's the muscle. It's your triceps that we're working. Okay, now we're going to do the other arm. Again, think of your posture. Let's get that big smile back on our faces. Feeling good. Okay, from here, we're going to stretch out our hamstrings. I'll give you a profile shot, show you what that looks like. So I'm sticking one leg out. Now I'm not putting my head down, I'm leaning forward. And I'm trying to breathe out as I lean forward. So leaning forward, you should feel the stretch, the back side and the top part of your leg. Hold there, breathe out. And again, you kind of want at least a minimum of 30 seconds to hold the stretch, because it takes a while for the stretch reflex to kind of kick in there. It takes a while for your muscles, your brain to allow your muscles to lengthen, to get longer, to get the full stretch. Okay, what we do to one side, we're going to do to the other. So leg out. Let's do a big breath in. Breathe out, pushing forward, not down, head held high, definitely above the level of your heart. There you go. Hold that stretch, gang. Hold it, hold it, hold it. And back. Okay, now we're going to stretch our inner thighs. So sticking one leg out to the side, you're going to be stretching your inner thigh. Hold it there. Again, 30 seconds is what we're looking for. What we do to one side, we got to do the other. Sticking your leg out. So I've got my upper body weight on, resting on my knee here. That feels good. Okay, now we're going to transition into our Parkinson specific exercises. I'm going to get a little bit closer for this. Okay, so we're going to put our chin to our chest, chin down, hold it there, head back to neutral. We're going to put this ear down to the shoulder, holding it there, head back to neutral. Now we're going to go to the other shoulder. Head to neutral, chin down to our chest. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Neutral, ear to our shoulder. Should feel the stretch along the outside of on the side of your neck here. Head to neutral, other side. Okay, now we're going to stretch out our wrists. So I put my hands on my fingers and I'm pulling back like this. So you should feel the stretch along your forearm right here. Hold it there. Now we're going to push down. This is flexion. What we do to one arm, we're going to do to the other. So pulling back on your fingers. That feels good. Now we're going to flex. And again, these stretches, if you're doing them on your own, ideally you want to hold them for at least 30 seconds. It takes a while for your muscles to loosen up, for your brain to allow, yeah, you know what? He's going to be okay, or she's going to be okay. They can stretch a little bit further. And relax. Now we're going to work on our jaw. We're going to open our mouth as large as we can. Here we go. And great big smile. There we go. Working on our Parkinson mask here. Great big smile. All right. Feeling good. Okay, we're going to open our jaw again. Nice and wide. And relax. Great big smile. There we go. Okay. So from here, I just want you to close your eyes, sitting up nice and straight if you can. Shoulders back. Feeling so much better than when we started the class here. feeling alive, focused, in control, ready for the rest of the day ahead. Opening our eyes. We're going to do a big breath in, raising our hands above our head. Big breath in. And out. Next one in. And out. Last one, gang. Last one. Here we go. Big breath in. And out. And that's it. You finished. So just a little reminder about the Parkinson Canada Super Walk. It is still going this year. So it's going to be held on Saturday, September the 12th. And it's going to be a virtual walk this year. So we're asking people to be walking in their neighborhoods or in a place that's familiar to them with family and friends. And, to really celebrate this day. So we're still fundraising. We're still trying to, offer all the programming that we offered before COVID kicked in here, and of course all the research that's involved with trying to end Parkinson's disease. So that takes money, and that it's going to take us to get out there and to ask our friends and family and neighbors, colleagues to contribute. If you're going to be a participant in the Super Walk, that's fantastic. My one piece of advice is if you can start a team. It's so much funner when you're doing it as a team, and chances are you can raise a lot more money. Maybe start the whole fundraising process off with a collective meal where you're able to celebrate and able to talk about goals of how much money you want to raise, and then have somebody kind of stay on top of things. Who's bringing in what? People like to know how they're doing. And then on the day of the Super Walk, you can get together and you can enjoy that nice walk on Saturday, September the 12th. And then celebrate maybe with another meal after. I can tell I like eating, eh? All right. So with that, I'll see you tomorrow at the same time, same place. You can find us on the Parkinson Canada Manitoba Facebook group page or the Parkinson Canada YouTube channel. Just be a subscriber. Give us the old thumbs up. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, gang. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.